Well, hello there, everyone. It's been a minute. Um, yeah, so cool. I haven't done a live in such a long time. Um, Let me know how everyone's dealing with the heat. I just had a conversation yesterday, talking about how we're never satisfied. Like we're always complaining. If it's raining, we're complaining. If it's too hot, we're complaining. If it's too cold, we're complaining. And then that we also said that we always have a choice to, you know, we always have a choice what we want to think, what where we want to put our focus, where we want to put our energy. We can put our energy towards complaining, saying how hot it is and how this and how that, or we can catch ourselves whilst we're complaining, because that's our default conditioning, whatever. And then we can ask ourselves, what do you like, how do you want to feel, right? Where do you want to put your focus in? What do you want to expand? What do you want to expand in your life? You see, where your focus goes, that's where your energy flows, and that's what expands. So if we focus on the heat, then there's going to be more of this discomfort of feeling the heat. But if we catch ourselves and then we put our focus onto the things that we're grateful for, like I'm grateful for the fan, I'm grateful for this giant water jug that I bought yesterday. I always wanted one because it looks, I don't know, I wanted it. And this is 1.1 liter, and I'm on the third one today. And I don't know how to explain it. I was thinking about it actually, and I don't know how to explain it, but it makes me drink more water for some reason. Maybe because it's new, and then after a few months I'm gonna be like, whatever. But for now it's working, so I'm happy. Anywho, so today I wanted to talk about getting curious about ourselves, right? Why am I talking about it? Because I had a lot of conversations recently with a lot of different people, and what I felt was missing was getting curious, right? We are so quick to react to something, like we get triggered, and it's worth to mention that getting triggered is not a bad thing when you are, of course, when you are on the healing journey and you are doing the inner work. When you get triggered, that is something that you can work with. It's information, right? And when you know how to regulate yourself, like when you are aware enough to understand that you have been triggered, and you understand that you can regulate yourself and work through it, right? And you get the information. You can journal it out, you can meditate on it, you know the drill. First, of course, you regulate your emotions, you regulate your nervous system, and then you take the actions that are going to get you back to the baseline. However, if you're just starting out, it's important that you seek therapy, right? The right kind of support that's going to teach you these tools so that when the trigger happens, you know what to do. Let me know if that makes sense. So, getting curious about yourself. I feel like I've always been very curious. I've always wanted to know why, right? Something happens, you feel something, you react to something, whatever. I want to know why. What's happening? And it's not to judge, which is what I believe that the other person used to, or can also, but the other person can take that curiosity as judgment. And it's so interesting, and that's because of the way they are perceiving the question, right? They don't want to ask themselves the question, and because someone else asks the question, they get triggered or they get annoyed because they don't want to look there. And if we also follow the thread of we are each other's mirrors, right? Each human being is our mirror in some way or another. And then if we are committed or we have decided to get curious about what is triggered within us or what might be triggered within them in this situation, whatever it is, we get to learn and we get to understand ourselves better and the other person better, and just like the way human mind body works, right? So we keep talking about patterns, and when we say patterns in a different word, I could use habits, right? Like, what is something that we keep doing again and again and again? Habits. We are not our habits, but we tend to identify with them. And once we get curious about our habits create our realities. Like, you keep doing the same thing over and over and over again, and the thing that you're doing over and over and over again, it makes you feel a certain way, and so nothing changes, right? Nothing changes if nothing changes. So where does the change start? In here, in the way we think. And so once we become aware of it and we understand that we can get curious about just about everything, and especially about ourselves, like, who am I? Who am I being right now? If you really, and when you get curious, it's also really important that we get honest with ourselves, because I can see that within myself even now, that sometimes I'm not honest with myself. Like, if I don't dig enough to really get curious about what's happening within my body, within my mind, about a certain situation. Let's say, for example, that I'm going on a date, and then I have certain reactions within my body. I get triggered, or I get excited, or I get, well, excitement and anxiety, they feel the same in the body. So that's something that I need to check in with myself, asking, like, okay, is this excitement or is this anxiety? Like, what am I feeling? What's going on? What's running through my mind? Right? Getting curious. Where was I going with this? I don't know. I lost the thread. The example. I guess what I was trying to say was that unless we get curious about ourselves, we won't know what's going on when we get triggered. For example, if you want, for yourself, if you want a healthy relationship, right, in your life, and once you start out, you think, okay, I just need to find a healthy partner. But then, that was my experience, for example. I just need to find a healthy partner. But that's not how it works. And the more that I was, first of all, searching, looking for a healthy partner, the more I got mirrored back, you know, because it was different faces. And then the same patterns, because the pattern was mirrored back to me again and again and again. And then at some point I had to sit down and be like, why is this not working? You know, why am I not finding this healthy partner? Is there something wrong with me? Is there, like, do I not deserve it? Am I not, is this just not something accessible to me? And then I realized that I was the common denominator between all of those faces and the same patterns. I was the one repeating the patterns. I was the one allowing. I was the one settling. Right? I was the one believing that this is what I deserve. There wasn't even bare minimum, but anyway. So it was I. Then I started realizing that I need to become the healthy partner if I want to attract a healthy partner. And it's not even about going looking for a healthy partner. They're gonna come when they're supposed to come. And there's this whole being patient and having faith and having having faith that the universe or God, whatever your belief system is, that they have everything set up perfectly. Whatever perfectly means, not for me, but for the universe, whatever, right? So, curiosity, coming back to curiosity. Curiosity is the gateway to creativity and joy. I feel like we are all looking for joy in our lives. We are all looking for peace as well, like joy, peace, happiness. Then again, what is happiness, right? And the gateway to get to those things is to get curious about yourself. Because we can think, oh, I want peace and I want joy and I want to be happy. But then if you ask yourself, what does make me happy? What makes me happy? We don't know, right? We're watching the TV, we're reading the books, we're this, we're that, and then we think that a whole bunch of money is gonna make us happy, or the relationship is gonna make us happy. There's gonna be this one person that's gonna swoop in, and that's what's gonna make us happy, or this job or whatever it is gonna make us happy and joyful and fulfilled. But usually that's not the case, because we never take the time to go in and ask ourselves deeper questions. What is happiness to me, first of all? And what would need to happen for me to feel happy? Right? And then as soon as we start listing things outside of us, like, oh, I want a healthy relationship and a job that pays really well and to travel and to this and to that, it's all external. This is where we need to do a timeout and ask ourselves, okay, so what is the feeling that I believe that this is going to bring me? And then how can I create that feeling within myself first? Right? So something that I want to leave with you today is to ask yourself, do I know myself? Do I truly know myself? Do I truly know what I want in my life? And not in terms of, material things, but what do I want to feel in my life? Who do I want? So for example, this is a really good exercise to let's say that when you die, what do you want to leave behind? How do you want people to remember you? Right? That's a really good and powerful exercise to just bring your awareness to, okay, how do I want to be remembered? What do I want people to think, you know, on that day? What am I like, what legacy am I leaving behind? And then another question is, do you want to? Like, do I want to know myself? Because a lot of people really don't, right? And then next question I want to leave you with is, who am I being right now? And for this, like, for you to answer this question, you need to be very, very honest with yourself. Like, who am I being right now, and do I like myself? Right? Just today or the past week, if you think about it, just like in your mind, who was I being? What kind of a person was I being? And not just when you were with people, but also behind four walls, behind closed doors. Who was I being? Was I the man of my word? Did I keep the promises that I said to myself? Like, oh, I want to drink 3 liters of water. Have I done that? I want to spend less time on my phone. Have you done that? I want to start going to the gym. Have you done that? You know what I mean? And then also, how did you show up at work? How did you show up in your relationship with your parents, with your friends? Right? And then really get honest with yourself. Do I like myself? Do I like myself? In the past week, the way I was showing up in my life. So, and then the next question, who do I look up to? Who do I wish I was more like? And then, of course, why? If you have a role model, if you have a mentor, what qualities do you like in that person? And why? Right? And then that will bring you to a bit closer to your core values. What are your core values? Because our core values is like, you can think of it as our compass. The moral compass. They guide us they help us navigate life in the way where where we stay true to ourselves. Exactly. Values, when you become aware, when you do the digging, when you sit down with yourself and you really ask yourself, like, what are my top 3, 5 core values? They are your navigating system. They are your compass, moral compass, that allow you to show up in an aligned way, to stay true to yourself in your life. And then every time you are not acting or thinking or being in alignment with your core values, that is when you feel frustrated. That is when you feel, misaligned. You don't feel well. You don't feel like you're staying true to yourself. You are abandoning yourself, right? So that is why it's really important to do the work, to sit down and to figure out what are my top 3 to 5 core values, and how am I living up to those values every single day, right? For example, one of my core values, I think that's the top one actually, is health, right? So health has multiple layers. The basic four are, what is it? It's mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual health. But then there are also like relationship health, intimacy, ancestral, whatever. Like there are so many different ways, but this is like the basic four. And so then I can check in with myself. Okay, so my physical health, how am I living up to like the value of my physical health in terms of my physical health? Okay, I'm going to the gym, I'm drinking the water, I'm doing whatever it takes. So for me, what it took to start drinking more water was to buy myself this, you know, jug that I really enjoy. I am doing breath work, I'm doing meditations. I'm also aware that my mind can run. And I know that in order for me to reduce the overthinking, and from overthinking, what happens is there's anxiety in my body. And so in order to reduce the anxiety in my body, I need to put like everything that I have in my mind, I need to put on paper, preferably with my hand, or talk to someone, or talk to myself in the mirror, or I do the breath work and I feel much better afterwards. And again, one thing is knowing all of these things. I know that when I'm overwhelmed, when I am overstimulated, overthinking, I need to be journaling, I need to be doing breath work, I need to tune into my body and see what do I need right now, what feels aligned right now. Sometimes it's a walk. Right now, definitely not, because it's super hot, right? But breath work, for example, that's what I'm gonna do after. Just for, and not because I'm overwhelmed, but because I know that I'm gonna feel, it's something that's gonna make me feel good. I'm taking responsibility for my feeling good. I'm not putting feeling good outside of myself anymore. Sometimes I do, but then I catch myself and I'm like, okay, whoa, hold on a minute. It's not their responsibility. I'm not putting my power away to, okay, we've agreed to go out today and I'm really excited about it, and I'm putting my excitement outside of myself. Like, it's because of this that I feel excited. It's a good thing, but I don't want to attach myself to, okay, so if this doesn't happen, then I'm gonna be sad and I'm gonna be disappointed and the whole day is gonna be shit, and then I'm gonna be just not feeling well. Do you know what I mean? So I am really happy that I get to go out with my friends, whether it happens or if it doesn't. Because I remember I used to put all my power away to the outside. So if this doesn't happen, then I'm gonna be like disappointed and I'm gonna be sad and I'm gonna be angry and resentful and frustrated and blah blah blah. And that that doesn't feel empowering. That doesn't feel like I get a say in it. You know what I mean? I've given my power away to these people, so now it's on them whether they're gonna show up or not. And if they don't show up, then I'm gonna be mad about it. You know what I mean? And the same in an intimate relationship. Okay, so they didn't do this, they didn't ask me how I was, they didn't check in with me, they didn't whatever. and I didn't voice it, right? Where was I even going with this? Well, anyway, I didn't voice it, and I was expecting for them to read my mind, but that's not how it works. So then now I'm feeling resentful and angry at them, and they're like, what the fuck is going on? You know what I mean? So anyway, living up to our values. Curiosity, getting curious about ourselves. I'm tracking it back, right? Living up to our values. Values are the moral compass in our lives. It is what helps us stay true to ourselves, and it's really important for us to be aware, to get curious about what those values are, to become aware of them, and then be able to act in alignment with those values. So that's where I was going. Physical, for me it was physical health, and then it's mental health, which again, right, what helps with the mental health is also moving my body. It's all connected, right? And then journaling and the breath work and meditations, all of it helps with the mental health as well. And then you have emotional health, getting curious, journaling about or meditating on the emotion that you're feeling, and then just, asking yourself, like, why am I feeling this way? When was the last time I felt that way? Or when was the first time I remember, my body remembers that I felt that way? What was going on? Blah, blah, blah. You become the detective of your own experience, is what I'm trying to get at. So if we don't get curious about ourselves, how do we expect anyone else to be curious? Like, we don't realize how powerful we are, how cool, how awesome we are, and if we don't know that, then how do we expect ourselves to believe that someone else might think that about ourselves? You know what I mean? Like, and this is from my experience, like, from someone who didn't have a lot of confidence to think, oh, I want this relationship. Okay, why? Again, getting curious, right? Why? Because I feel empty inside. Ooh, okay, that's not why we enter relationships, to fill a void inside of us. That void is for us to be filled. Like, we need to fill that void, and the way we fill it is by getting curious again, right? So when we understand, when we see ourselves for how amazing we are, how awesome we are, then when this person, and we fill the void inside, then this person, when they come into our lives and they recognize us as this amazing, incredible person that we are, we're like, yeah, I know. It's not like we're not gonna go and look for attention and approval, and we're not gonna try to prove ourselves to this person, because we already know, we see ourselves for who we are, right? So what I would want to invite you, or what I'm inviting you here today, is to study yourself like you are the person that you love most. Become your own best friend. Study yourself like you would want your partner to study you. Get curious about yourself the way you want your partner to get curious about you. You know what I mean? So that you make yourself recognize yourself for the person that you are. At the beginning, it's probably going to get uncomfortable, because you're going to have to face the fact, like, this is the person that I am today. This is the person that I have been showing up. This is the person that I've been showing up as, because of all of the conditioning and trauma and blah blah blah, but I refuse to use that as excuse. So I'm gonna be showing up. So I know that I can choose. I always have a choice. Now I'm aware of the way I was showing up, and I understand that I have a choice of how I want to be showing up. So how am I choosing to show up right now in this moment? How am I choosing to show up tomorrow, the day after that, the day after that, right? Right. So before I finish, every time, I don't know why, every time I do a live, it's like 40 minutes, 45, 1 hour. Insane. Anyway, so at the end, those are all of the questions that I want to leave you with, and then invite you to study yourself like you would the person that you love most. And now I just want to also share with you that I am running an experiment with a small group of women. So what this experiment will be is I'm seeing that a lot of us know what we have to do. We know that we not have to, but want to. Like, we want to heal, we want to be better, we want to feel better, we want to feel healthier, right? And so we know that meditation helps, we know that breathwork helps, we know that journaling helps, we know that guided visualizations help, we know so many things. But then one thing is knowing them, and another thing is actually implementing them, right? So the experiment that I am running, or will be running, is to facilitate this space for a group of women with the intention of going deep into our bodies, into our subconscious minds, and dig up the beliefs that have been keeping us stuck, or that have been manifesting in our lives as these challenges that keep repeating. And it may be like you have something, you have a health issue, and I'm not saying that this is any type of replacement for actual medical help, but it's something that helps support on, because we were talking about the bodies, or the levels of health. You have physical, right? You have emotional, you have spiritual, and you have mental, right? So in terms of physical health, when it's something physically manifested within your body, it's already at the stage where you seek medical help, right? But you can also help with the energetic, spiritual, mental, emotional work to remedy the physical ailments. You know what I mean? So whatever challenges, like you have a situation that keeps repeating, you have a toxic pattern, relationship patterns that keep repeating, you have whatever the challenge may be, the reason why it keeps happening is because of the beliefs that are running in the unconscious, like somewhere where you don't look. Because we know that all we have to do is just get to the bottom of the belief. Like, what is the belief that I'm holding that keeps me in this loop, in this challenge, right? So the intention of this experiment is to provide the space for a group of women to gather around. And I feel like when we do it collectively, when we're not doing it alone, it's even more powerful. And then we all set the same intention, as in, I want to release, like, whatever is meant to come up for release, I'm releasing. What is it? And then to facilitate the space for journaling afterwards, to actually sit down, because the thing is, I'm doing it too. After the session ends, I go on about, okay, I have to do this, I have to do that, I have to do this, I have to do that, and then I never get to actually journal. But these sessions are going to, they're going to be the digging into the subconscious mind, the visualization, all the things, and then also facilitating the space where you give yourself the time to journal. You're not gonna just go and do your own things, but you're gonna sit down and you're gonna journal, right? So it's an investment and commitment to yourself, to you showing up for yourself with other women as well. And then because it's a group thing, it helps with the motivation, and it helps with the accountability, and it helps with the momentum, right? So if this is something that interests you, leave a comment below, comment ready, comment I'm in, and I will contact you, send you a message, and give you more details. Thank you so much for watching this, and I will be seeing you again soon.